Okay, so today I want to talk about minimalism, but in particular something called digital minimalism. This is something that I've been practicing for a little while now for, I'd say probably the best part of a year. But I guess for me, the best way to describe digital minimalism is it's just a way of kind of streamlining your digital life to help it start to work for you again, rather than against you. In this 21st century, I think we're so lucky to have all this incredible technology around us, to all have devices in our pockets that can tell us everything and anything at the click of a button. But I think it's also fair to say that we've probably all kind of let this go a little bit too far. I think we've all allowed our devices to take over our lives and control our lives a little bit more than we'd maybe like to, or maybe even be happy to admit to. And for me, this concept of digital minimalism has really helped me take control back a little bit. So in this series of videos, I just wanted to share some of the tips, tricks, and systems that I have in place to help me just be a bit more mindful and maybe a little bit more healthy as well with the way I use my devices and the way I kind of consume content online as well. These systems I have in place do really work for me, and I think they set me up to get the most out of these kind of devices. But I know they're not going to work for everyone. They're not necessarily going to be for you. But at very least, hopefully this can serve as some inspiration, or maybe even just some food for thought for some changes that you might want to make in your kind of digital life. So this first video in the series is going to be specifically about my phone. Now, I have an iPhone X, but it kind of should go without saying, but all these things I'm going to talk about aren't just exclusive to Apple products. They can be applied to whatever it is that you use. It's more about the principles, about the thinking, and I guess the way I've set these systems up to work that you can maybe apply with your own stuff. So when it comes down to me deciding whether I'm going to include something in my digital life or not, I kind of boil it down to three criteria, or I guess three aims. I've decided that everything that I have on my phone or my laptop, or everything that I do in a kind of digital space, which, let's be honest, these days is a bit of an extension just of us, has to really add value to me, my life, or what I'm doing with it. If it doesn't add value, then I'm simply just not going to use it. Everything has to be intentional. So everything that I have on my phone or on my laptop, or the way I organize things, is very intentional and deliberate. Nothing is just there from before or because it just happens to be there. And the third criteria is to limit the distractions that it causes me. You know, again, this little device really should be enhancing my life. It shouldn't be distracting me from the things I want to do. It shouldn't be pulling me out of the moment, which I think we're all a little bit guilty of when it comes to these. And nothing about it is there to get in the way of my day-to-day life or my productivity. Okay, so let's get straight into the way I kind of digitally minimize my iPhone. So we'll start off with the way that I organize my iPhone. So when you unlock my phone, originally you're going to be brought straight to this kind of front page, the first page of apps that's the easiest to get to. Immediately you might notice that it's quite sparse, there's not too much there. And I've set up this homepage very, very deliberately. Again, going back to one of those aims, intentionality, making sure that everything is there for a reason. And these apps are here very, very intentionally because these are the apps that kind of serve the core purpose of a phone. It is my messaging apps, it is my email, it's Google Maps, it's my calendar, it's Google Drive, access to the internet, settings and reminders, and that's it. Now, the reason that I have just these on my homepage and no social media apps or anything like that is that I don't want to be immediately sucked into my phone when I unlock it. I don't want to be tempted by the things that might distract me more than they otherwise should. We'll move straight on to the second page, on which you'll notice is my social media. Now, again, I intentionally put all my social media apps on the second page because I wanted just that slight little kind of extra step to get to social media. Now, if I'm honest, I'm actually quite good at limiting the amount of time I spend on social media as a consumer. I don't just scroll aimlessly through stuff that often. And since I've become more of a creator and I've been making content for social media, I find that I spend more time looking at the analytics of my own stuff and looking at my own stuff than I do at other people's. And I actually think that's a good thing. I have in the past gone through long periods where I've completely deleted those apps from my phone. I've deleted Facebook for months at a time. And I think having those little detoxes every so often is really positive. But for now, I'm really happy with the way I'm consuming it. So I'm happy to have the apps on my phone and on the second page there. All right, so other than social media, which is the most obvious, I have got 2 folders on this page. One is full of magic apps. The second folder is all about photo and video. And the only other thing on that page really is 3 kind of sounds apps. So we've got podcast, BBC Sounds, and the Headspace app. So the first 2 there, BBC Sounds and podcasts, is just for podcast and the radio, which I listen to quite a lot as well. And then we've got Headspace, which is a meditation app, a really brilliant meditation app that I quite often use in the morning and before bed. So moving straight on to the third and final pages of apps that I have, and this is more of a kind of practical page. It's things that I kind of need to have but would otherwise not really have on my phone. You know, it's not much fun. So we've got travel apps, a folder for shopping apps, which I'm quite begrudging about. You know, I've got the Amazon app because I just love tracking my orders, although I have a bit of an issue with ordering off Amazon in the first place, but that's a different story for a different time. And I have the Gumtree app, but that's because I'm selling a lot of stuff on Gumtree at the moment. The next folder is aptly titled Shit I Need But Don't Use, and this is all quite a lot of stuff from the original iPhone apps that you can't delete. Things like my camera are in there because I'll never access my camera from the app. I always just swipe down and get it through there. And then the only other thing on that page is money related things. So I've got a couple of bank accounts for business bank accounts and personal bank accounts. I've got PayPal for making easy payments and the HL app for investing. So once again, if you actually look at all 3 of those pages, everything on there adds value to what I'm doing. I need them all. They're all intentional. Again, they all serve a very specific purpose, and none of them are there to distract me. You know, I've got no games on my phone. I have nothing particularly addicting. Everything is very, very intentional. And I think that's the important point to get across here. Another massive tip that I will give you, and if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this, is it's more of an organizational tip. It's something that I discovered probably about a year ago as well, and it's completely revolutionized the way I use the storage on my phone. And that is the Google Photos app. If you didn't know already, Google can actually offer you free unlimited storage of all your photos and media on your phone. Now for me, this is by far the thing that takes up the most space in my phone, so I kind of jumped at this opportunity immediately. The caveat is that it does lower the quality to 1080p of videos, but most of us are taking videos in lower quality than that anyway, and unless you're taking videos on your phone for professional use, you'll never ever need better quality than that. Now Google Photos will automatically take photos out of your camera roll, sync them up to their servers, and then you've got your camera roll free to do what you want with. You've then got access to it in your Google account, which I use quite frequently anyway, and considering it's free, for me it's a no-brainer. Okay, so I guess that kind of covers the organization of my phone as a whole. You might have noticed as I was scrolling through my pages of apps there, I don't have any of those red notification bubbles. And you might not be surprised to hear that this is not a mistake. I've always found that whenever I have those notification bubbles, the little red bubbles with the numbers in them, they distract me a lot. They really kind of make me want to check and to go through things. So I've turned them off for almost every single app that I use. Now again, this is a very intentional move. It's to stop me being as distracted by them. At the end of the day, the way I see it is that I want to be in control of my phone and my digital life. I want to be the person that decides when I check my emails, when I check my Facebook account, when I check my messages. I don't want to let my phone dictate that for me. That little red bubble is red for a reason. It's because it wants to grab your attention. It wants to draw you back into it. It wants you to check it. And again, I just wanted to regain that little extra level of control that I maybe felt like I'd lost a little bit. And I think just by turning off the bubbles, I think they're called bubbles. Let me check. Badges. Called badges, not bubbles. But by turning those badges off, you know, you're not losing anything. You're just taking a bit of that control back. Not only that, but it does make your phone look a lot cleaner. Now, my phone is also always in silent mode, and other than that, I actually have quite a lot of my vibration notifications turned off as well. Quite a while ago, I heard someone talk about that thing that happens when your phone buzzes in your pocket, and for a brief second, you almost have a little kind of nervous twitch. You kind of go, oh, and you know, your attention goes straight to your pocket. If you're in a conversation with someone, it draws you out of that conversation. It pulls you out of the moment. I've even been in situations where I thought my phone buzzed in my pocket and I actually didn't, but I've gone to check it anyway, just in case. And at that point, for me, I think it's gone too far. When you're letting the buzzes of your phone control your actions, you've totally lost control. To me, at that point, it is a little bit of an addiction. I would wholeheartedly recommend doing this. Turn off the badges and turn off as many vibration notifications as you can bear to as well. The final part of the way that I use notifications here is the Do Not Disturb tool. Now, for me, this is a total game changer. It's something that I use every single day. I have my phone set on Do Not Disturb, where I get almost no notifications. When I'm specifically trying to get some work done, I have it on for most of the morning and I have it on for most of the evening. And again, using the do not disturb feature and not getting as many notifications just contributes to that aim of causing myself fewer distractions through my phone. However, do be warned, I have had to set my girlfriend up as an exception to this rule. She is the only person that messages me that I get a notification for while I've got do not disturb mode on. And other than that, it's only emergencies that get through. Okay, so that's kind of the meat and bones of how I set up my phone, how I use it on a daily basis. But there's two other kind of things that I want to bring to your attention that are really useful for me. I use both of these every single day and they're relatively new additions to people's phones, so it's worth pointing out. The first thing is night shift modes. It's called night shift mode on iOS. I'm not sure what it's called on Android. And all it does is it changes the tone of light coming out of your screen. It changes it from that kind of blue light that we know and associate with phones to a slightly warmer light. Now I have mine set to turn to night shift mode at 10 p.m. so my phone goes kind of warmer colors at 10 p.m. And for me, this just cuts out a bunch of blue light within the hour before I go to bed. It's definitely still not a replacement for just not using your phone at all in that hour, but I think it's a step in the right direction at least. Okay, last but not least is the screen time feature on phones. I think on Android, this is called digital well-being or something similar. But basically, this is just a feature of our phones that tracks our usage of them. It tells you how long you've spent on your phone that day. It can break it down with individual apps and things like that as well. You know, being able to know how long you spend on your phone and being able to be aware of it is really, really helpful. I've actually even put it in the kind of widgets bit of my phone as well. And this is amazing because it means I can see it at a glance. At any point, I can just swipe once to the right and I've got the amount of time I've spent on my phone that day right in front of me. This is just, for me, a really useful tool to help me understand how long I've spent on my phone versus doing the things that I need to do. You know, if there's a bit of a misbalance there, then I know I need to change something. Honestly, that pretty much wraps it up for my phone. You know, all of the things I've talked about in this video are things that maybe took me a total of 30, 40 minutes to think about and set up the first time I did it. But I did sit down and I intentionally worked through it all bit by bit and I kind of put this all together in a way that works best for me. Again, for me, this is all about just sitting down and putting the systems in place in the first place to give yourself the best chance at success. And obviously these systems are not conclusive, they're not all inclusive, they just are the things that I found that work for me. But if you've got anything that works for you or that you think I've missed here, then drop it in the comments. I'd genuinely love to hear the ways that you guys maybe optimize your phone use. I really feel that just by being a little bit more intentional with the way that we use our devices, the way that we use all this amazing technology that we have at our fingertips at all times, we can really get a lot more from it rather than letting it take a lot from us. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video or at least found it interesting or informative. If you did, make sure you hit that like button for me. It does genuinely help the channel out. If you like this kind of stuff in general, hit that big red subscribe button as well. I'm planning to do a kind of little mini series on digital minimalism as well, and I'd love to have you along on that journey with me. As always, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one.